Good afternoon. For those of you who are standing, there are some seats, and we hope that you would make yourself comfortable and join us close here to the ceremony. Welcome to each and every one of you. Welcome to the campus of the University of North Carolina, Asheville. Today we honor an extraordinary leader, Dr. David G. Brown. We are pleased also to welcome family and friends from all over the country, as well as faculty, staff, alumni who worked with and who have benefited from David's and Lynn's leadership. As such, I would like to recognize a few of our guests. With the Browns are their family. Their daughter, Allison, would you stand so that we can know that you're here? Allison and son-in-law Tom Donlin from Illinois, and Brown's son Dirk and his wife Carla, and their children Zoe and Alexander, and Carla's mother Pat. Also joining us today is Dave's sister Wendy from Iowa. Please welcome the Brown family. Also present today are members of Dave Brown's leadership team, the people who work directly on his executive staff. And so when I call your name, if you would please stand so that we can recognize you. The name that none of us recognize him by because we all called him Yav. Eric Yavakini, Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs. Bill Potts, Vice Chancellor for Finance. Beverly Cutter, Vice Chancellor for University Relations. Wayne McDevitt and Tom Byers, both of whom served as Special Assistant to the Chancellor. And the one and only Carolyn Frady, Executive Assistant to the Chancellor. Carolyn Frady taught 5 chancellors how to do the job, and so I invited her back to give me a tutorial even though she was retired by then. Welcome, Carolyn. We are honored here today also to have a number of current and former trustees. Will all the current and former members of the Board of Trustees for UNC Asheville please stand so that we may thank you. Also with us today is a former member of the Board of Governors, Phil Carson. I'm also pleased to welcome the Executive Director of the Council for Public Liberal Arts Colleges, Bill Spellman. We are pleased to have a number of alumni present, but I want especially to recognize Leah Carpin, the first graduate of the MLA graduate program, which was created during Dr. Brown's service. We have here also today several members of the leadership and attenders for the North Carolina Center for Creative Retirement. We have the former director, Ron Mannheimer, and the current director, Catherine Frank. And then we have lots of you from the Steering Council and from people who are taking classes just up the hill at the Reuter Center. So if you've ever taken a class or taught one or been on the steering committee of the North Carolina Center for Creative Retirement, now's the time to stand up. We're also honored to have elected officials with us today. Currently, our Representative Patsy Keever and our Representative Susan Fisher. Please stand and let us welcome you. Also with us today is retired Judge Dennis Wenner. Please stand, Dennis. So you can see this event is full of people who've worked hard for this university, but none harder and more effectively than the person we are honoring today. From his first appointment as a member of the economics faculty at UNC Chapel Hill, to his service as provost for 3 great colleges, his tenure as chancellor at UNC Asheville, to his recent service as interim president at Georgia College and State University, Dave Brown has been a transformative leader in American higher education. For nearly half a century, he has worked to make college more accessible to students and to help university leaders to be nimble in serving an ever-changing educational landscape. Dave Brown came to UNC Asheville in the summer of 1984 as the result of a national search following Bill Highsmith's retirement as the university's first chancellor. Having been named only a few years earlier as one of the top 100 leaders in higher education by Change magazine, Dave brought to UNC Asheville a strong sense of vision and a keen understanding of national higher education. Throughout his leadership, the university created many of our most beloved and nationally respected programs, especially the undergraduate research program and the North Carolina Center for Creative Retirement, each of which has been held up as national exemplars. As chancellor, Dr. Brown recognized the unique niche that UNC Asheville occupied as a liberal arts college within a public state university system. Through his vision and leadership, there emerged an entirely new sector of higher education. UNC Asheville stepped into the spotlight as a national leader of the movement and helped found the Council of Public Liberal Arts Colleges, whose national offices are housed on our campus. In the decades since, public liberal arts colleges have become a centerpiece of a renewed focus on undergraduate education in the United States and an accessible education for bright students of any means. Dave Brown, thank you for your service to UNC Asheville and American higher education. Your work has been nothing less than transformative. We are honored to celebrate your achievements and your legacy. Several of us have additional comments before I wrap up with some more. And I'm pleased first to welcome to the podium Jack Cecil, president of Biltmore Farms. Jack has worked with Dave for more than 2 decades, both as a UNC Asheville trustee and former trustee chair from 1987 to 1992, and as a community leader with Dave since the Browns returned to Asheville a few years ago. A great community leader and a great friend of UNC Asheville. I am pleased to welcome to the podium Jack Cecil.
Thank you, Ann. Welcome, everybody, and Chancellor Ponder and members of the UNCA Board of Trustees and members of the UNCA faculty and staff and administration, and most importantly, UNCA students. I'm honored to represent the people of Western North Carolina. When I said that, how am I going to represent the plethora and the difference and the diversity of people of Western North Carolina? But it really is an honor to be here today to recognize David G. Brown, who really is a community builder in the most extreme definition of the word. He's been chancellor, he's a civic leader, he's a visionary, and he's a very close friend of mine. And I'm very pleased with my 2 decades of involvement with Dave Brown. As Ann mentioned, I had the pleasure of serving with Dave when he was chancellor here, first as a member of the UNCA Foundation Board, then as a trustee, and ultimately being chair of the Board of Trustees. And I told Dave that I would not mention too many things about what we tried to accomplish and some of the sort of personal trials and tribulations we went through, but maybe if you will allow me a couple of wonderful, fond memories with Dave. I remember Dave was standing over here one weekend at the dedication of Mills Dorn. Much like this, everyone had gathered, and the stereo blasted when I started my remarks. And I turned to Pam Turner Mills, and I turned to Dave, and I said, well, you wanted to build community. Well, now you have it. Because, as you know, Asheville has not been a full-blown residential university for a long time. He took me in 1990 to the AGB trustee conference in Boston. And you can tell by my body size, I'm not a runner, but he made me run the Freedom Trail with Phil, you know D.G. Martin, and then Dave introduced me to Bob Gale, who was then the president of AGB, which launched me on a long-term career of being a trustee of AGB, and you know they help trustees become better trustees. And then in 1991, with Jim Mifflin's help and others, we started the conceptual design of expanding the Highsmith Student Center by adding to the dining room, which ultimately led to this building. Because in Dave's visionary style, we just can't improve and can't enlarge the dining room. We really have to build a community hub for this campus. And where all constituencies, students, faculty, staff, administrators, people from the region could come and could congregate in this building, where impromptu, creative, intellectually stimulating dialogue could take place, where people from all walks of life could have discourse and talk and learn from each other, and where the transformational stage of UNCA from a commuter school to a purely residential school would be most visible and pronounced. It's right here in the student union where everyone comes together. In Dave's opinion, and many of his co-conspirators, Merritt and many of us in those tenure of Dave's time here, if UNCA was to become the nation's, and not North Carolina's, but the nation's preeminent public liberal arts university, it had to have a feel of a community. And the only place that was going to come together is if you created places, gathering places, where people could come together and create community. So today, the place that rightly being dedicated to Dave Brown, one of Asheville's greatest community builders. Dave, we thank you immensely for your tireless efforts on behalf of the people of Western North Carolina. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Jack. It is now my pleasure to introduce Neil Rhodes, class of 1986. President of Southeast Strategies, a nationally reputed branding and marketing firm, Neil has generously served his alma mater as a member of the UNC Asheville Foundation, as a member and chair of the UNC Asheville National Alumni Council. Neil served as president of the student body when Dr. Brown first came to UNC Asheville. It is with great pleasure that I welcome to the podium Neil Rhodes.
Good afternoon. It is a privilege and an honor to be with you today to bring greetings on behalf of all the alumni to Dave and Lynn and Allison and Dirk and your families and grandchildren, and to all the faculty and staff and the many friends of the Browns who've come out for this important day. After Chancellor Ponder called to ask me to participate, excuse me, Jack, I'm going to lower this a little bit here, called to invite me to participate in this important occasion, it struck me how privileged I have been to witness and be involved in two transitions of leadership at our great university. The transition from Bill Highsmith to Dave Brown, and from Chancellor Mullen to Chancellor Ponder. And I have to say, in both circumstances, I learned a great deal. I witnessed and participated in critical moments of our history, and my life was personally enriched by working closely with these tremendously talented individuals. I am so thankful for each one of them, and I'm especially grateful that Ann Ponder is at the helm, skillfully leading us into the future. Almost 27 years ago, after an evening lecture and a night course on the history of the U.S. and the Middle East, taught by Chancellor William Highsmith, the first course that he had taught in 22 years, I had a conversation with him that I'll never forget. Chancellor Highsmith, as many of you know, led Asheville Biltmore College, a two-year college, to become a four-year college, and then to become part of the UNC system. He was teaching again, and he loved it. And he would linger after class. And you see, for all of us UNC Asheville alumni, that's one of the secret ingredients about being a student here, is this fabulous interaction that you get with professors after class who are fully tenured professors who love to teach. It's a fabulous mentoring and learning experience after the lecture is over. And that night, in talking to him about some finer point of the Truman administration's involvement in Cairo, he got to talking about how UNC Asheville became part of the UNC system. And maybe it was because I was a student leader at the time. He felt like I needed this extracurricular training, but he told me about how he and Bill Friday had this vision of having a stellar, nationally renowned, someday public liberal arts institution, akin to Davidson, but at a public price. And he did use the word Davidson in that conversation, and I think that was one of the reasons it was so memorable for me. Later that year, I had an opportunity to meet the next year Bill Friday, and I got to be involved in the transition from Bill Friday, who was our UNC president, to the transition of C.D. Spangler, and I got to serve on an advisory council with both men. And for me, the connection of those three men, I can't think about UNC Asheville without thinking about those three men, because two men, you see, articulated a vision, Bill Highsmith and Bill Friday, and they turned that vision into a reality. And then the third man came along to grow and nurture that vision. Dr. Brown's installation as our second chancellor was a pivotal moment in our history. The Asheville Citizen-Times marked the announcement of Dr. Brown's new appointment with a special editorial. The editorial was lengthy, but I would like to share with you some of it. Quote, "A man speaking of the selection of a new collegiate president as his alma mater said the other day, quote, 'I have not met the new man, but he sure reads well.' Ashevilleans probably view the selection of Dr. David G. Brown as the new chancellor of the University of North Carolina at Asheville in much the same way. He sure reads well. In the story, the man meant, of course, that the new collegiate president brings superior qualifications and experience to the post. Likewise, Dr. Brown, who is a scholar, economist, teacher, author, administrator, and authority on the college presidency. Dr. Brown will follow a leader who not only built UNC Asheville, but also who is the only chancellor to lead the institution from its birth. In sum, it is a difficult and challenging opportunity," end quote. The editorial concluded by stating that quote, Dr. Brown reads well and should rise to the occasion as he has done throughout his career, end quote. And rise to the occasion he did. At his installation ceremony, Chancellor Brown said, quote, "Long ago, universities in Cairo, Paris, Heidelberg, and Oxford were the great enablers. They accommodated the passage of wisdom among the generations and across cultures. Today, we join in the celebration of our own great enabler, the University of North Carolina at Asheville," end quote. For alumni, Chancellor Brown was our great enabler. While some within UNC and around the U.S. knew about this wonderful little jewel of a public liberal arts institution, most did not. We needed to tell our story and the right person to do it. Chancellor Brown equipped our faculty with funding and support, which enabled them to spread out across this country to tell the story of the public liberal arts, undergraduate research, and our excellent record. He helped to effectively brand public liberal arts institutions throughout the country by articulating the brand positioning of Public Ivy. He preserved and improved the quality of our education by identifying curriculum that were unique to our time and place while maintaining our critical primary focus on our liberal arts mission and the humanities core. He nurtured the development of a new master plan that enabled our much-needed physical expansion to transition from a commuter student body to more of a traditional on-campus population. He shepherded the transition of our athletic program from the NAIA to NCAA Division I. He provoked us to civic engagement and leadership through the newly created Chancellor's Colloquium. On behalf of all alumni, I can say, Chancellor Brown, that your focus on our proud liberal arts tradition and vision for the future improved the values of our degrees. Your work to secure funding, plan, and oversee the expansion of our physical plant improved our quality of life and collegiate experience by enabling more of us to live on campus and explore its activities. And your daily example of engaging leadership and personal interaction richly mentored and equipped us as today we lead others ourselves. And on behalf of all my fellow alumni student athletes, I can say you made us so proud to become Division I NCAA Bulldogs. I recently took the Legacy of the Land tour at the Biltmore Estate, where you are guided around the magnificent grounds of the estate and explained the vision of the genius landscape architect, Frederick Law Olmsted. As you may know, in addition to the Biltmore Estate, Olmsted also was the genius behind many of our national parks and public places, including Central Park in New York, the U.S. Capitol grounds, and the Stanford University campus. He also played a key role in preserving Yosemite and Niagara Falls. Many of those on the tour were completely surprised that the forest among and surrounding the estate did not exist when George W. Vanderbilt moved to the area. Most of the landscape was barren at the time when he moved there due to clear cutting and lack of crop rotation. But Olmsted had a vision to create what would become the nation's first managed forest, and he planted millions of trees and shrubbery. He worked with visionary owner George W. Vanderbilt and his forester Gifford Pinchot, who later would become the first leader of the newly established U.S. Forestry Service. And they conceived, nurtured, and brought about a vision that ultimately resulted in the magnificent estate, our nation's first forestry school, and more than 100,000 acres of forests, much of which later became the Pisgah National Forest. In some similar parallels, some of you may be surprised that this place did not always look like this, nor were we always so well known for our public liberal arts and undergraduate research excellence. But two men had a vision, joined by a third, and they nurtured it to build a strong foundation so that others could continue to build what we have become today. Toward the end of his life, Frederick Law Olmsted made an amazing statement. He said, I have all my life been considering distant effects and always sacrificing immediate success and applause to that of the future. Chancellor Brown, on behalf of all alumni, your distant effects were realized. Your success will be long-lasting, and we applaud with all our hearts, so very gladly, now, this day. Thank you.
Great remarks. And now to speak for the faculty, I am pleased to welcome to the podium Dr. Merritt Mosley, an extraordinary member and leader of the UNC Asheville faculty. Merritt Mosley worked closely with Dave Brown in the creation of several of the university's great initiatives. Former National Endowment for the Humanities professor and once again chair of the literature department, please welcome to the podium Merritt Mosley.
Like my predecessors here, I'm both honored and, in my case at least, quite humbled to be asked to represent the faculty on this occasion. I was glad to hear Neil talk about Frederick Law Olmsted. I want to mention another famous person, Sir Christopher Wren. When Sir Christopher Wren was buried in St. Paul's Cathedral in London, the inscription carved on his tomb was, in Latin, Si monumentum requiris circumspice. That is, if you need a monument, look around you. Since Wren had designed that majestic cathedral, it was monument enough. Today we celebrate Dave Brown's contributions to this university, happily in his living presence. And I say about Dave, si monumentum requiris circumspice. Now, no chancellor single-handedly makes dramatic changes in a university. Other administrators, the faculty and staff, our trustees and state legislators deserve credit too. But had Dave Brown not brought his imagination, his determination, and his persuasive powers to bear on this university and its future, much that we take for granted, much that makes this UNC Asheville distinctive, would not exist. To see his monument, we need to look a little further away, and I was just looking at the motto, let's leve mes oculos in monte. So raise your eyes, and then we'll imaginatively travel around the university a little bit. Let's look first imaginatively at the main quadrangle. Robinson Hall and Carpin Hall, two of our major classroom facilities, rose under his leadership. He achieved the doubling in size and capacity of Ramsey Library so that the main quad bears his stamp. If we look to our left, we can actually see Mills Hall, one of our finest residence halls, I believe the first one to be built with air conditioning, and another of Dave's achievements. If we turn in imagination up the hill, we'll find the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, which newly renamed but previously known as the North Carolina Center for Creative Retirement. It was a new kind of facility in this region and in the country when Dave and Lynn conceived this program. Now let's imagine our way into Owen Hall, where we'll find the headquarters of the undergraduate research program. Dave supported this initiative very powerfully, which made UNC Asheville nationally prominent, in part because we launched the National Conference on Undergraduate Research and have hosted it 4 times, more than anyone else. I was involved in that first year, 1986, 1987. And I can tell you that if cautious voices had been heeded, some of these cautious voices came from our National Board of Visitors, others of them from our own faculty, we would have ended up hosting the Western North Carolina Conference on Undergraduate Research in Chemistry and a little bit of Physics. Dave, however, had the largeness of vision and the courage, I think, to insist that it should be multidisciplinary and that it should be national in scope, and he was right. Over in Carmichael Hall is the national headquarters office of the Council of Public Liberal Arts Colleges. Bill Spellman, seated there, is the national director. And this is yet another of David Brown's ideas, realized and grown important and successful. He believed in our kind of college and thought that a group dedicated to its advancement should exist, so he started it. I don't think I'd ever heard the phrase Public Liberal Arts College before Dr. Brown began to use it, although in reflection, it's perfect for what we were trying to do in undergraduate teaching and learning at UNC Asheville. He elaborated the concept, got the state to recognize it, got the state to name us its exemplar, and helped to give us national visibility as one of the flagships for this important movement in higher education. In all these ways, Dr. Brown seems to me to have followed the Bobby Kennedy idea of innovation. He looked at things that never were and asked, why not? He supported the humanities program in which I have proudly served for 35 years. He supported the Asheville Institute on General Education, which started here in 1990. He invented the convocation ceremony with which we begin every academic year. He supported the development of Broadway Street as a boulevard connecting the city to our campus. He encouraged the health and wellness program, and so much more. His energy and imagination and power have made us what we are today. If you need a monument, look around you.
What an extraordinary day. Now we have a special presentation of the Chancellor's Medallion. Lynn Brown, would you please join me here at the podium? As my husband knows so well, the role of a chancellor belongs to both the chancellor and her or his spouse. UNC Asheville has been fortunate to have not only a great leader in Dave Brown, but also in Lynn Brown. Lynn began her own work in education as an English teacher, a profession after my own heart, and worked in schools in New Jersey and North Carolina. When the Browns moved to Oxford, Ohio, Lynn expanded her work into public service as a member of the City Council. It was in this post that she found another great passion, helping seniors to have active and engaged lives. In Oxford, she led the creation of the Help Van, a transportation service for seniors, the first of many programs she would help create to serve the older population. Here in Asheville, and in the mid-1980s, Lynn and Dave gathered together a group of wise elders to dream about what would make Asheville a great destination for retirees. Together, with Lynn's leadership, such folks as Walter Adamson, who is here today, the late Kirk Sims, and my own mother, the late Eleanor Ponder, among many, many others, conceived of the North Carolina Center for Creative Retirement, The center and its numerous intellectually engaging programs not only changed the nature of graceful aging in Asheville, but it has become a national model transforming our very concept of retirement. Lynn Brown served as the founding director of the center's signature program, the College for Seniors. For nearly 3 decades, the college has expanded UNC Asheville's commitment to lifelong learning. Lynn's vision and hard work have been truly transformational and have helped to make Asheville one of the country's most preeminent retirement destinations, and to make UNC Asheville a national leader in creative retirement. Upon her own retirement to Asheville, Lynn has not only been active with the center, but with numerous programs throughout the community, such as women's advocacy and women's philanthropy. She and Dave have been as active in retirement in Asheville as they were when Dave was chancellor and Lynn the director of the College for Seniors. It is for her service to UNC Asheville and the greater community that I am pleased to present Lynn Brown with the Chancellor's Medallion. The Chancellor's Medallion is the highest non-academic award presented by the university. It was established in 1985 by Chancellor Dave Brown. The medallion is presented to people whose lives and service demonstrate the deepest commitment to the university and extraordinary commitment to education, community service, and public leadership. It is now my honor to present the 15th Chancellor's Medallion Award to Lynn Brown. I am pleased now to welcome to the podium a friend of the Browns, a friend of the universities, a great leader in this community, and a member of the UNC Asheville Board of Trustees, Pat Smith.
Thank you, Chancellor. I am deeply honored to represent the UNC Asheville trustees on behalf of our chair, Sissy Stevens, who regrets that she could not be present today. By the time you get to the 5th speaker, you've heard a lot about Dr. Brown, but my job is to highlight all of those important initiatives so that when you leave today, you will remember what a great chancellor Dave Brown was and what a great person he continues to be. Dr. Brown, Chancellor Ponder, and I are both so honored to be part of the historic moment honoring you. Your service to UNC Asheville and higher education is truly exemplary. A national leader in American higher education through your 11 books, numerous publications, and service on countless national leadership boards, conferences, and committees, you have helped to redefine the modern college presidency. Your leadership has been key in the strengthening of undergraduate education throughout the country. Likewise, your accomplishments at UNC Asheville are many. Through your leadership, UNC Asheville established the Undergraduate Research Program, the National Council on Undergraduate Research, the Masters of Liberal Arts degree, and the North Carolina Center for Creative Retirement. Every one of these initiatives continues to be vital to the life and culture of this university, and all have contributed significantly to UNC Asheville's standing as the nation's leading public arts college. During your tenure, you stewarded the construction of the university's 3rd residence hall, Mills Hall. You directed a significant expansion of its science teaching facilities with Robinson Hall. You guided a major expansion of classroom space with Carpen Hall and led the construction of an important addition to Ramsey Library, which more than doubled its capacity. And most significantly, you recognized UNC Asheville's unique place in higher education and created an entirely new sector of colleges dedicated to making the traditional liberal arts affordable and accessible, the public liberal arts. You also championed the creation of the Council of Public Liberal Arts Colleges to advance this segment. Without your leadership, there might not be a public liberal arts sector. And even upon your retirement, back to Asheville, you have been an active and engaged community leader, not only with the university, but in economic development, intellectual discourse, and philanthropy. As the unsalaried director of the Asheville-Buncombe Community and Economic Development Alliance, better known as the HUB, you have guided this unique and important economic development initiative. You have been a seminal leader in this community, Dave. I have been privileged to work closely with both you and Lynn, and this community is very, very lucky to be the beneficiary of your interest, your commitment, your time, your leadership, and your tireless energy. Dr. Brown, your service to higher education, this university, and this community is truly outstanding. Would Dave and Lynn Brown and Chancellor Ponder please join me at the podium? Opened in the spring of 1996, this building is central to student life at UNC Asheville. From admissions to student services and dining services, every student knows this building well. The trustees felt that it was important that your name be linked with such an important facility. Likewise, it seems fitting that it neighbors the William E. Highsmith University Union, named after our first chancellor. It is thus with gratitude and great pleasure that the UNC Asheville Board of Trustees dedicates this building, so important to the students on this campus, in your honor. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a yellow jacket, David G. Brown Hall. Dr. Brown, in commemoration of this important occasion, I am pleased to also present to you a framed copy of the trustees' resolution dedicating this building in your honor. And ladies and gentlemen, now Dr. David G. Brown.
Thank you, Pat. You'll be relieved to know that you've heard my speech from others, and therefore I will cut it short. I'll simply say that this is an overwhelming honor. Frankly, I hadn't realized we'd done so much during those years. And they're wonderful memories. I guess what I need to say is that Lynn and I love Asheville. I mean, It's a quirky place. Creative, thoughtful, involved, diverse, tolerant, curious, young and old, gay and straight, native Southerners and imported Northerners. We really love every night, every minute in this place, as those who visit us come to know, because we drag them to everything. This is really a celebration, not about one person. It's about Team UNCA 1980s vintage. It's about the faculty, the students, the administrators, the legislators, the community members that enabled us to take some incredible risks and, frankly, to win most of them. As you think about what it was when Lynn and I came in 1984, this was an incredibly strong university with a truly remarkable faculty. Look at the statistics. We were the third most selective, behind Chapel Hill and State, comprehensive university in the system when we came. We were number one in the percentage of our graduates who, upon graduation, when asked, would you do it over again at the same institution? They said, yeah, I'd go back to UNCA. Chapel Hill was third. I've forgotten who was second. Our students were the top scorers in the state. This includes private institutions on the national teacher exam. In the nation, this was all 1984 when we came. In the nation, the Carnegie Foundation rated the curricula of all universities, public and private, on a scale of how much do they know about the classics. And this had to be all of the graduates. We were in the top 10 in the nation on the strength of our core curriculum. We were attracting most of the valedictorians and salutatorians of the Western North Carolina high schools, and our student body was an average age of 27. Strongly strengthened by graduates of Wellesley who were coming back for a second degree, and a real core of women basically in their late 20s and 30s who were enrolled, several of whom are here today and were in my original chancellor's colloquium. But the paradox that we faced when we came was that UNCA was unknown. We were in the 200s on the college ranking lists. So there's one way to get out of the 200s when there are only 4 lists: community colleges, research universities, regional public universities, and private liberal arts colleges. If there are only 4 lists and you aren't doing very well on any of them, what do? You invent a 5th. And so we literally did create the public liberal arts sector. I can remember that I went and visited the presidents of 9 colleges, asking them to come to Asheville to found that sector. I talked with Ted Fisk about putting us in the guide. I talked with the author of the Public Liberal Ivies. In fact, I traveled to Charlotte to talk with him. And we basically lobbied, and then we lobbied our own people in the legislature and the like, to create that particular sector. And it's, I've got a little statistic here that I pulled off the internet this morning. There are only 4 public universities in North Carolina that are in any of the national rankings in U.S. News and World Report. Okay, UNC Greensboro, 187th. NC State, 106th. UNC Chapel Hill, 30th. Okay, now comes the kicker. UNCA on its list, the only other nationally ranked institution, is ranked 7th. Now that's cheating a little. We're ranked higher than that. Who's ranked above us? The Naval Academy, the Air Force Academy, and West Point. I think we can eliminate those. That's not fair competition. So we are really 4th. And if you want to eliminate Virginia Military Academy, we're 3rd. So the second thing is that when, as was suggested by Merritt, the only undergraduate research conferences featured the sciences, we did insist that there was some research going on in the humanities and in the social sciences. And that is a conference that has not only been here 4 times, it's a conference that's gone to places like MIT and Berkeley and some of those places that you might have heard of. So that was a big achievement. When the colleges, and you got to go back to the 80s, had drifted toward this distribution requirement. You got to take a course here, a course there, and a course there, and the student body as a whole knows nothing in common. We held the core curriculum. We held on to the name humanities. And through Merritt Mosley's leadership, we actually started a thing called the Asheville Institute, and over 100 colleges came here to rewrite their core curriculum sort of in our model. So we really did do something that was different and special. And in the creative retirement domain, there were a couple other colleges that were starting centers for learning in retirement, but there wasn't anybody who was starting centers for serving in retirement. And so when we started our center, there was no other like it in the country. We started a division of new business development that Tom Byers headed. We started a center of volunteerism and had a core of people in the schools. And the concept was, yes, retirees like to learn, but they also have a great deal of service to give. And after all, the junior leaguers and the church women of the world have gone back to work, and we need a new set of volunteers in our society. And I will say we started that movement, Team UNCA 1980s vision. And then the final 2 things I would emphasize are the wellness movement. When we got into wellness, people weren't thinking complementary and alternative medicine, an immense specialty here in Asheville. People weren't thinking university programs in wellness. It was basically a corporate craze. But through William Bruce and Eric Yavakini, who's here, we got that off the ground as a kind of special and different thing. And maybe one of the most outrageous things we did, and this is the last one that I'll mention, was that one day, I think Wayne McDivitt was in the office, we simply decided that we're going to declare ourselves as a statewide institution. We're going to say that we are North Carolina's liberal arts college and university. And we had North Carolina in capitals, North Carolina Center for Creative Retirement. And nobody said we couldn't say it. So we just kept on saying it. And we drew board members from around the state. Jack formed a group of young emerging leaders in higher education. We drew them from all cities throughout North Carolina. And pretty soon we were North Carolina's special university. Well, I could go on, but I won't. There was the Arboretum, the Jewish Studies Center, the Environmental Science Curriculum. electronic music, which Joyce and Larry Dorr was a big member of our administrative team, and he's here today, led. And there was the Economic Development Summit that we did in the community, and the many buildings that have already been mentioned, as well as the honors program. I tried to think of some word that would summarize it all, what my colleagues did, and I guess I had to come up with two words: outrageously innovative. I think that's what we were, outrageously innovative. And I need to say that these initiatives, frankly, would have been insignificant and would have fallen on rock, if, like the rock we see around us, it would have fallen on rock and not grown if it weren't for today's student body, today's faculty, today's administration, today's community leadership. All of these things that have grown subsequently, such as the development of CLOPLAC, the quality teaching, the kinds of collaboration that will go on or has gone on already within this building. These things that are currently associated with UNCA, they're going on not because of what Team UNCA did in the 1980s, but what Team UNCA today is doing. So I'd like everyone who is working for Team UNCA today to rise and be recognized. So I'll conclude by simply saying, in behalf of Team UNCA 1980s vision, thank you, thank you, thank you for associating us with this building and for continuing those many great themes for which UNCA will forever be famous. Thanks very much.
Terrific, Dave. Thank you. What a wonderful day. Dave, Lynn, none of us can say thank you loudly enough for all that you have done for UNC Asheville and higher education, as well as our community. Great leadership changes lives, and each of you has had such a positive influence on the lives of so many people. We are honored by your service to this university, and we're thrilled to have watched the conjoining of your personal and professional commitments and accomplishments right here at this university and in Asheville. Let us once again recognize Dave and Lynn Brown. As we conclude our program, we welcome you to greet the Browns and to tour Brown Hall. Refreshments are available in the main dining room. Thank you for joining us on this gorgeous and historic day.